What's up, my little buckaroos? I think I'm fully recovered from this 12-year-old sleepover birthday fiasco. Hey, lesson four here, getting into some better stuff here. And this is just one of those things. It's people are making internet business usually a lot harder than it needs to be. And one of the ways that they're doing that is that they have this sort of product diarrhea mentality, right? They think, oh, I'll create a course about this, and I'll create a course about this, and I'll create a book about this, and I'll write eight book series on this, and on and on and on and on and on. And in reality, it only takes one. And if you have that mentality of it only takes one, you just need to create one page on the internet and one offer and one process to sell that product or service effectively. If you can do it, then you can be successful, right? You just have to be able to sell something effectively. That's it. If you can sell something effectively, then it's easy to get traffic there. You can get affiliates to do it for you. You can maybe even send advertising clicks over there, right? Or you can do a number of different things to help publicize and drive traffic to your page. You can publish a free book on Amazon, right? Or a paid book and do paid advertising of your book so that it gets downloaded a dozen times a day, and you get clients coming over for your product or service that you have on your website. So I saw one comment of somebody was saying, there's nothing actionable. It's not it. This course, this little mini course that I'm putting together here, it's not about so much the little tiny tactics and strategies and hacks and all that kind of stuff. Okay. I'm definitely a big picture guy. And what I try to do is get people focused on what matters and just going after the wrong thing instead of aimlessly sort of going out there and throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall to see what sticks. Instead, you need to come up with something that's a decent idea that actually has a chance of success, set it up in a way that might have success by doing it simply, by removing the amount of options that people have, and work really hard to continue to test and refine the page and the process that you have until it's selling effectively enough. Once it's selling effectively enough, then the advertising finances itself, right? So it only takes one. Okay, so I just know so many people who've done one thing and it's just been really successful, and then that was it. They don't they can do a lot of other things. They can leverage their success by going into new realms. They could launch all different other kinds of products and services based on their original success, and that's great and all. But it really only takes one, right? So here's my friend Annie. Annie was my first mentorship client, and I see she's doing some new things, which I'm so happy about. This page is all geared up towards just getting people to register for this little workshop, right? Which is presumably like a webinar kind of thing, right? And I know what she has on the inside because I helped her develop this really extensive program to help people quit drinking, right? So, she went out and learned a lot and learned something in her real life about quitting drinking, right? In not the standard usual way, and applying a totally different type of psychology to it than what is standard. And, basically able to defy the odds of how people think alcoholism works, which is cool. So she has a unique method and approach to it, and it's effective. And she published a book on it and created a course, and she's good to go now. She makes great money, and it's as simple as getting people to register for their workshop and then trying to get them to buy her course. And then she has plenty of money to recycle back into advertising campaigns for her book. She can do a number of different things for publicity. If it sells well enough, she can get affiliates. I've been an affiliate for her, and her numbers weren't great, but again, you work to improve that steadily by upping your game. You send traffic, you see how it performs, you change something, And it's a product, it's a process of refinement, right? But it's a process of refinement that you have to figure out, right? I can help you, jump over the first few hurdles and learn the basic few lessons, but ultimately a lot of this is about just refining the process. Refining the process of someone discovering you and getting to the point of making a purchase, right? I refer to that as just the sales process. And there's a lot of different processes that you can apply. And ultimately, it matters who you are and what you're selling. Depends on what the process should be like, how long that process should be, how brief it might be, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, all this is great stuff, right? So you just one thing. Please don't do the whole product diarrhea and just start putting out sloppy content, because I think what a lot of people are doing is ultimately starting to feel like bullshitting your way through a term paper, right? You know what it's like when you don't really know what you're talking about, but you need to produce content, and so you just kind of wing it, right? Don't wing it. You just need to find one thing that you can do that's helpful to somebody. Or, you can teach something that's useful to somebody, all right? Now, that may be something you have to develop, right? Annie wasn't born with this knowledge. She had to figure it out by researching and her own personal life experience. But odds are that you have something that's valuable that you've learned. You just have to figure out how to package it in a way that people will respond to where you get at least a few dollars per site visitor. If you can get a few dollars per site visitor, then you're going to be successful. You may not make millions of dollars, but you're going to be able to make a living, right? Another guy, Ari Whitten, I talk about Ari a lot because he's been so successful, and it just blows my mind to see how simple it is, right? Ari did a lot of study into energy production and energy metabolism, and so he found some cool ways to help people increase their energy, and he created a course about it. So he gets people to register for it. Oh, shoot. I hate it when that happens. Anyway, he gets people to register for it, and then he sells a course, which is like $500, and he converts that really well. He's created a great process. He doesn't need to now go out and create more products, right? He did it. He created something that works, right? So you might, maybe a webinar, right? A webinar is a great way to sell something, and maybe you do that webinar and it doesn't work the first time. I listened to Russell Brunson talk a lot about webinars, and he worked really hard for a year doing a webinar every single week, 52 weeks before he finally got it right. And it started to make a profit off of the traffic that he was buying, right? But it just was one webinar. Rusty Moore, a guy who I'm patterning some of my new blogging experiment on, he's talking about how you don't need to have a bunch of blog posts. You can write one really great one, and you can build a business off of one blog post. You don't need to write 700 of them like I did, right? One great article can build a business. One great webinar can build a business. One great book or one great course or one great service can build a business, right? You can always build on top of that, but it only takes one to actually get things to work, okay? Here's another friend of mine. He's working on it. He's still a work in progress, but he figured out how to help people make money with search engine optimization, and particularly to get businesses to show up on Google Maps, right? So he found like a cool way to do that. And so what did he do? He helped some people that he knows, right? Including his next door neighbor who lives next door to him. He helped these people, and they were big successes. And now he has something that he learned how to do, and he can go out and help other people do it because it's for local businesses, right? It's not like this guy figured out how to do it in some little Alabama town where Adam lives, right? And nobody else can do it. This is something that any local business can do and succeed from. So If you learn how to help any local business with anything, plumbers, lawyers, I mean, anything, you help get traffic to their site, you help them build an email list, you help them with their social media, you help them get any clients whatsoever, you help them with any aspect of their business. If you can do that successfully, then you have something it's a product or service that's now worthy of being a successful business, right? So if you just work on something until you can do one thing and do it successfully. Another buddy of mine, Brian Cohen, right? He just got really good at writing book descriptions for books. And so he has a service where people come to him to get their book description written. Just that tiny little book description on Amazon. That's it. He specializes in that. And he's built a full-time living writing those little 500 word pieces. He wrote the book description for the Internet Business Insights book, right? I hired him to do that. So you just have to figure out one thing that you can do and do well that helps others. And once you do that, you can create a simple process to sell it and work on continually refining that process. And the reason I put all the emphasis on it only takes one is because what people are doing is they have a bad process and then they create a product and then they try to sell it and it doesn't sell very well and they think, oh, I need to create a new product. And that's not where the focus should be. The focus should be on creating a great product or service and putting so much time and effort into it. That's what matters the most. The quality of the product or service. So the cultivation of a skill, and I don't want to give you the wrong impression too that you have to be this great expert at something. Okay, Brian could have just hired a couple of freelance writers to work on book descriptions, right? And then he could have started a business and he could have done all the marketing while they did all the writing. Maybe he could have done it without knowing anything about how to write a good book description, right? It helps to know. And yeah, I guarantee he doesn't write these now, right? Because he has a business and now he doesn't have to write them anymore. Now what he is a book description editor. He reads what his hired help writes and changes a few things and sends the finished version over to the customer, right? So if you wanted to build a product together, I see people all the time, huge successes. A guy who worked for me for a long time made $400,000 in a week from putting together a bundle of other people's books and courses and things, right? He didn't make any of this stuff. He didn't make the product. He went to other people and he bundled together a bunch of products and sold it for like $39 or something like that. And, he sold 10,000 of them at $39. Made huge money just in a week during the event. So you don't have to even create these products yourself. You don't even have to do these services yourself. Right? You just have to figure out something to work and focus on making sure the product or service is great. Once that's great and it's going to help somebody, then you just work on the process. And once you get that, then you're good. And that leads us to the next video about marketing, right? Which is the last piece. And it'll be a good one. So see you for the final lesson.